Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to discuss mass protests worldwide. All over the world, mass protest is going on because people have a big economic struggle. Inflation is killing people. And this is something that is planned. This just didn't happen out the blue. This is being planned for years. How the new world order is going to structure the world. I know a lot of people don't believe that the governments or the people they voted for is not the real people, decision makers. And that's been going on now for decades. The people that are in power is not the real people that is behind the decisions that's being taken today. Anyhow, we can get back to the protests. If you've been paying attention, you watching the news, you see Sri Lanka, the Netherlands, Pakistan, India, Italy, Ecuador, Uzbekistan, India, everywhere around the world, protest is going on because the people are struggling. And the governments in place is not there to help the people. They are there to consolidate the power and weaken the financial needs of the people. So they can consolidate their power through corporations and wealthy barons who control the vast majority of the economy. And they want to create a monopoly where you are dependent on the state. They don't want independent people. They want people to be dependent. And when you are dependent, you are easy to control. Anyhow, if we look and see, I can focus on just the Netherlands, Sri Lanka, and Uzbekistan as what was happening. Just 3 examples again, because the video would have been too long to focus on every nation. Basically, it comes down to who control the resources and gain power and access to financial resources. Let's start with the Netherlands first. If you see, the Prime Minister of the Netherlands and the government, the cabinet there, just introduced a law to force farmers to close their farms because for environmental reasons, they want to control greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. It sounds like a really good thing looking out for the environment, but that's not basically true. What's really happening is they started with the Netherlands first because the Netherlands, the Dutch, is really, really tough. The Dutch and the French. If you can conquer these two nations, to start with the global order, world order, all the rest gonna follow like a domino, like dominoes. All gonna fall like a stack of dominoes. And that's just what they're looking out for. Because if we realize what's really going on, Bill Gates and all these rich barons, they've been buying up a lot of farmland because they want to monopolize the food. If they control the food, they control you. They control the money, they control the food. There's nothing else for you to gain. All you gotta do is be a peasant or servant. Basically, you can be a slave. They want to pick a system where they control and you be dependent on them. And all is done through corporations. Governments doesn't control the world. Corporations control the world. Government is just there to manage the situation. They are managers. All of these politicians being bought and paid for decades ago. And let me get something straight too. We go back to the Netherlands. The Netherlands Prime Minister, he is a part of the World Economic Forum. I think if people understand what's going on, they know about the World Economic Forum, they will understand what I'm talking about. But I will leave that for another video, the World Economic Forum. What the people basically say, you by 2030, you will own nothing and still be happy. And my answer to that is, when Bill Gates and these wealthy barons and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all of these people own nothing, I'm willing to own nothing as well and be happy. In the Netherlands, they don't want to control greenhouse gases. They want to take out the middle class. They want to take out if they can wipe out the middle class, there's no resistance. Because me and you don't have any power. But if the middle class can get together and work together with the poor working class, these people ain't got no power. They have no power. Anyhow, they want to eradicate beef. That's what they're saying. By 2040 or something like that. But that's not the case. They want to monopolize the food industry, where only a few corporations control the food. And they want to mass produce everything. Now we look at Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan, that's a place that is pretty unknown to a lot of people. But for the last week there, they had a mass protest there because the government of Uzbekistan wanted to change the constitution. They wanted to make amendments to the constitution so that civil liberties of the people being weakened, and the president can sit in office for 20 years. He wanted to double his mandate. What he basically wanted to do is to stay in power for 20 years instead of the 10 years the constitution gave him. He forgot that that's called dictatorship. Anyhow, the people protest. There's a lot of people died there. Well, Uzbekistan, the news where the government give you and the news, the figures, they said 10 people die and about 200 or 300 get injured, including about 18 police. But these figures you have to take with a pinch of salt because the government control most of the news coming out from Uzbekistan. But the government decided to back down and fold. And the prime minister, the president there, he turned on his cabinet. And he's saying now that they didn't warn him. The reason why he had to back down because he bring in the army and stuff, and the police went to fight against the army because the police started to be on the poor people's side. Well, that's a change. So when you don't want the army and the police fighting each other, so he had to back down. And that's why I always keep saying, the power is not in the hands of these big wealthy barons. The power is in the hand of the police and the army. That's where the real power lie. The people that's going to crack your skull. So if we rise up against the police and the army, we're going to gain our power back. We don't have to go up against the government. We got to target the soldiers and the police. And don't let these people back into our community. Let them live in the police stations and the barracks, the army barracks. Let them live there. See if they can live all their lives there. That's where the real true power lie. We are focusing all the time on the wrong people. Ultimately, the president had to withdraw. And that's how people power. When the people rise up, these people don't have no power. Anyhow, let's go over now to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is on her knees because they don't have no foreign currency to buy oil, fuel, to do just about anything. They have no foreign currency. They have run dry. That's because Sri Lanka, for decades, being dominated by two families, two dynasty families in the political arena. All over the political spectrum, the family control. All the key ministerial posts, all the key decision making, two families is controlled. And since independence. And there's a lot of corruption there. A lot of corruption. A few 3 or 4 weeks back, there was a big protest there as well. The people haven't stopped to protest it. It's just that the media didn't stop focusing on it. The mainstream media. What really happened was they burned down the Prime Minister house 3 or 4 weeks back. Now they went to the President house, overpower the guards, and take over the presidential estate. And you can see on the news the people bathing in the pool, enjoying the luxuries that they can only dream about. And this is not 100% confirmed, but it seems like the Prime Minister have fled the country. They on a military ship. We don't know, or he probably is being protected on the military ship. So if any protesters come, they can just back out the harbor and go to the sea. Anyhow, if you realize too, and on a lot of these clips coming out and the news coming out, the people have found a lot of cash in the presidential house. In the president house, there was a loads of cash. And the people was just sitting on the floor just counting it out. Just counting it out. It seems like they didn't want to steal it. They just want to show the world what's really going on. And if he can have that kind of money in his house, just understand what he have overseas and hiding a lot of bank accounts and all over the world. And all of these tax havens that is created by the West. And in London is a big tax haven. One of the biggest of the world, or the biggest in the world is London. The biggest of because London is just a whole separate nation by itself, and people don't know that. They think London is a part of England. You see the financial district, they got their own rules, own police, own mayor. That's why you will see a lot of these companies based in London. Got the headquarters in London. And the poor Chinese, Sri Lankans don't have much to fall back on because tourism was one of their main financial means. And since the pandemic, tourism have collapsed. Nobody's really traveling now. So these people are really suffering and really hurting. And they don't have no foreign exchange to buy anything, no foreign currency. So they are heavily now going to rely on the hands on the IMF. China decided not to help them. I don't know for what reason, because China owns just about everything there. The mining sector, the rubber, the bauxite, everything big Chinese corporations own in Sri Lanka. They just got just about everything they have, the Chinese. But that's like Sri Lanka. Just Sri Lanka, they just two dynasty families, so there's nobody really on the political spectrum that you can see can take over now that is not corrupt. The prime minister decided to, and the president decided to step down, but they decided that before they step down, they want to put a government in place. They want to put a government in place to stabilize the country. The government in place is going to be basically them, these people. They're saying all political parties can form a government. All the whole corrupt political spectrum is going to form a corrupt government. One can't go and tell the next what to do, because all of them is in the same boat, corrupt. So you basically got to choose, you understand, the lesser of two evils, just like anywhere around the world. Well, anyhow, if you look and see what's really happening, the people is going to rise up, and our oppressors most likely is going to get slaughtered, because that's just the way it's heading. Because these people have no moral standards. They don't understand greed and the cloud of power. It's got these people delusional. These people don't understand that there's a limit to everything. And this been happening now for a long time, since 2009, since the collapse of the first economic collapse, where Obama went in and bailed out the banks and say they were too big to fail. He started a domino effect. And just these people see what's going on, and they see that the people never really rise up. And what these people did was to use that money to gain more power, more control over the financial system, more control over the politicians. And they have done a really good job. Because a lot of people don't understand governments is only managers. They don't make the final decision on anything. And these are the things. This is what they really want. They want the world to be controlled by corporations and wealthy barons. And remember, all over the world, governments being hijacked. All over the world. Even here in Sweden, where I'm sitting right now, the government here is hijacked. The government do not look out for the people of interest anymore. There's a few things that they just can't go and touch because it'd be too obvious. So that they're chipping away at it slowly but surely. And one thing about Sweden as well, lobbyists is run havoc. There's no rules and regulation around who can lobby the government. And every time people try to get the government to at least get the politicians to declare who they are talking with, the lobbyists, the politicians just shut it down. They just shoot it down every time. They don't want people to see the corruption that's going on. And that's here in Sweden. Sweden is just as corrupt as a lot of nations as well. So don't think. Just look now, if we look at NATO, you see how they're going into NATO without a mandate. They didn't talk to the people about it. They didn't let the people vote on it. Just a few politicians decided that's best for the nation. And that's why what voting is do. You vote for some person and they do what they want. They have no accountability to you. So voting is basically a myth. It's time now we abolish these governments, because governments do not work in our interests. A lot of people starting to wake up now to see that the government is bought and paid for. And it's time to get rid of the governments. We need to form small communities and work with each other. We don't need big corporations to get nothing done. We don't need Amazon. We don't need Facebook. We don't need YouTube. As human beings, we need each other. Before technology, we were much happier. It was a lot much better as well. But they use the technology to control us, and they want to use the technology to control the financial system even more. Anyhow, if we don't wake up and see what's going on and still believe that government rule is the best way forward, sooner or later you can understand what I've been talking about, because you can end up being a peasant or a slave. Most likely you're going back to slavery. Anyhow, I want you to take care and enjoy your day or night, wherever you're watching from. And I want you to like, share, and subscribe, because videos like these is not going to be shared on YouTube. Everything is going to be blocked. Just yesterday, Facebook blocked me because I'm supposed to be sharing disinformation. The disinformation is about the World Trade Center, because as an engineer, World Trade Center, as engineers said, World Trade Centers, not me. The World Trade Center should have never fall down. If you know gravity, if you know anything about building, if you get hit on the top, the foundation don't collapse. If a fire is on the top, the foundation don't collapse. But again, I don't want to tell you what to believe. I want evidence. You to do your own research and look at the evidence. The World Trade Center was never about a plane bringing it down. That's just basic common sense, physics. Anyhow, I'm not going to carry on no more, because I tried to stop this video, but I can go on and on and on. Anyhow, take care. I want you to like, share, and subscribe, because we need each other, and we need the knowledge to get around, and we come together as one. Anyhow, bye for now. I'll catch you on another one.